Hey guys, thanks for joining us today. My name is Kim Murdoch and this is Arts Hub Online. Today's craft, we're going to be making something really fun and cool. This is a pencil holder. This is a great object. It's useful. You can put all your stuff in it and it looks really fun and cool. So I'm going to teach you guys how to make this today. We're actually going to make this an Angry Bird pencil holder, but once you learn how to make this, you can make them into absolutely anything. I mean, anything from R2-D2 to a mermaid to a panda bear, anything. You can make these over and over again. They're really fun. First, we need to talk about supplies. So we're going to need a couple of things. This is an aluminum can. This is from the recycling bin. It's been washed, cleaned, and dried. It's possibly sharp though on the inside corner here, so I'm going to show you how to make sure that that's safe in a few minutes. But before that, let's talk about the supplies we're going to need today. So you're going to need some masking tape, and you're going to need some clear tape. You're going to need a glue stick and a pair of scissors. Also a pencil for sure. And if you have a Sharpie, that's great. If you need to just use a marker instead, that's fine too. For this type of Angry Bird, I'm going to be using red. So I'm going to have some red construction paper. I'm going to have some yellow construction paper for the beak. I'm going to have some black construction paper for the eyebrows and the tail, and some white copy paper for the eyes and the belly. So we're going to be doing all of that together in just a moment. And when we come back, I'm going to show you how to make the can safe so that it won't cut your fingers. So to make this can safe so it doesn't cut your fingers, the best thing to do is use some of this masking tape. Now you might need your parents' help for this, and if you do, that's fine. I just want to make sure you guys stay safe. So I'm going to take a piece of this masking tape. You can see it's not a very long piece, and I'm going to start putting it on the inside of this can. And I'm going to show you what I did. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just on the inside of the can. It covers up the edge of the metal. So I'm going to do that several times until it is covered. And so what I'm trying to do is keep the tape on the inside of the can. You see how you can't see it on the outside, but it's on the inside. So I'm going to do that a couple more times until I think that is safe. And when we come back, then we'll get started on our pencil holder. All right, so the inside of this is now safe. So it goes all the way around. That way you're not going to cut yourself. So we are done with the masking tape for now. And what we're going to do first is use our red paper. And we're going to wrap this around our can. So if you notice, this is a lot bigger than we need it to be, right? If we were to put this right in the middle, it would be using up the middle of the paper. But what I want to do is put it on the edge. That way we don't have to cut this because it's already there. So how are we going to measure that? Well, we're going to take our pencil. We're going to put the can at the very edge of the paper. And in fact, we are going to put the can just a little bit past the edge of the paper. Just a teeny tiny bit. And then we're going to put a pencil mark. And we're going to move the can a little farther, put a pencil mark, move it just a little bit farther, put a pencil mark. And I'm going to go ahead and make these marks in Sharpie just because I want you to see. You can see how I put them on there. That way I know where to cut. So now I'm going to take my scissors and I am just going to cut on that line until I have two pieces of paper. Now these papers are not exactly the same size anymore, but this is great for another project. It's always wise to conserve your paper so you're not wasting it. So I'm going to save that for another day. And now I have this piece of paper. You can still see some of these Sharpie lines on the inside, so I'm going to make sure that those are on the inside. So when I roll my can in the paper, the marks I put on my paper here won't show. I'm going to take my can, the one I've taped, and I'm going to place it right here. And I'm going to take a piece of my clear tape, and I'm going to very gently hold this right here. You see how I'm holding it with my thumb? And I am going to put some tape on there. But I am all about making things that last a long time and are strong and sturdy. So I'm going to use two pieces of tape. So here I go with my second piece of tape. And now that's nice and sturdy. So now I'm going to roll this, and I'm going to roll it all the way to the end. And I'm going to show you how it looks first rolled. Okay, so nice and snug. It's not flopping around, but I don't have any tape, right? So what do? Uh-oh, how do I only have 2 hands, right? Well, it's okay. You can let it unravel. Put some tape on your wrist right here. That's a fun trick so that it's ready when you're ready. And now I'm going to roll it again. So I'm keeping it flat on the table. I'm pressing down, and when I get to the right spot, you see how, whoops, hold on a second now. There we go. See how I got it nice and snug on there? I'm even going to put my hand inside and really hold on to that. Now I know it's snug, and I have my tape ready. So again, I'm going to use 2 pieces of tape. I want this thing to be really, really strong. All right, so I have taped this, and you can see how the top is nice and neat. That's good because it's the top. And the bottom has a little extra. So that's not a huge problem, but if it bothers you, you can just take your scissors, just give it a little trim. I am all about those haircuts, even though I can't get a haircut these days, which is okay. It's fun to give haircuts to your craft projects. All right, see, I've trimmed that. It fits perfectly now. So, normally I would say that this taped piece would be in the back, but because we're going to put this on here, these things will completely cover up this tape. So when the time comes, I'm going to keep talking about the taped side of our can, and that's where we're going to put the eyes and the beak and the belly and the eyebrows. All right, friends, so now it is time to work on the white parts. So the eyes and the belly. And so we need some white paper. Now, if you have white construction paper, that's great. If you just have white copy paper, that is fine too. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this shape. And if you had to guess what shape that is, it's kind of like a half circle. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to put this on. You know what? I'm not using this Sharpie. I'm going to use my pencil. And I am going to trace my can on the white paper. So that circle is the same size as my can. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to cut that out. And I also drew it in the corner, not in the middle, in the corner, because we're saving that paper for another day, for another project, right? We're not going to waste our paper. We're going to be very conservative and resourceful so that we can use it another day. All right, so how do you get a half circle when you have a full circle? That's easy, right? You cut it in half. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut it in half. And if they're not exactly the same, it's no big deal. This is going to become the bird's belly, okay? You see how that is sort of similar? So what I want to do first is I want to do some lines with my marker. So I'm going to take a gray marker and I am going to create the border like that. You see how I did that? And I am going to now place my can just like this, and I'm even going to use my markers to kind of make it stable, or maybe I won't. There we go. All right, so it's time to glue this on. I'm going to open up my glue stick. Uh-oh, my plan isn't working, guys. Well, anyway, I'll go like this. So I'm going to take my glue stick and I'm going to put the glue on the back. Remember how we put the gray mark on the front? I'm putting the glue on the back. And I used a lot of glue. See how much glue is on there? That's because we want it to be nice and strong. I'm going to put this right at the bottom of the can. Oops, there we go. So now our bird's got a belly, and it's on that side with the tape we talked about, okay? All right, I'm going to close up my glue stick because nobody likes a dry glue stick. Next, we're going to make these eyes. And these eyes are like 2 ovals and they're still connected. So now this, there's really nothing for you to trace. You kind of just have to use your pencil. But I'd say it's a good call to make it pretty big. So I'm going to draw 2 kind of oval shapes like this that are connected. And I'm not worried if my lines are a little messy. In fact, that kind of reminds me of an apple. Can you see that? Well, if you can't see that, all you got to do is use your imagination, but I'll also use my Sharpie so you can see it. Okay? All right. I'm going to use those scissors. I'm going to cut my shape out. Now, take my time. And there it is. And if I need to give it a little trim, I will. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to use this side, okay? So remember, lines with the side with the marks is going to be the back. So what I want to do is use a black marker now, nice and bold. So I'm going to go into my markers and get a black marker, and I am going to take a moment, and I am going to make these lines around the eyes nice and bold. There's not a line down the middle, okay? So just go around the outside edges. If you accidentally draw a line down the middle, it's no big deal. You can just make another one, or you can have it with a line down the middle. So what are we missing here, guys? We're missing the pupils. So I'm going to use my Sharpie for that. Again, if you need to use a black marker, that is fine. So they're close together, but they are not touching. So I'm going to go ahead and draw an oval and another oval. And I'm going to do my best to make them about the same size. And I'm also going to do my best to make the reflection marks, which stay white, about the same size and then the same part of each oval. So I'll hold this up in just a second and just do a little adjustment here. There we go. So without their eyebrows, these eyes look just like real surprised, right? Like, whoa, what's happening? So it's funny, they're similar, but they're about to become just like the other ones. So I'm gonna put this now right about here, and I want there to be a space here. We're gonna put the beak on, and the beak is gonna cover up the bottom of the eyes and the top of the tummy. But we don't want the eyes to be too low, because then it would cover up too much of the eyes. So I'm gonna put the colored side down, I'm gonna open up my glue stick, and I am going to have a nice amount of glue on there, nice and gluey. I'm gonna place this down again, and I'm gonna put these close to the top of the can. And just gently push this down. And it looks cute already, even though it's not an Angry Bird just yet. Okay, so we're done with this white paper for now. And this white paper is ready to be used another day. It's now time to do the beak. So how are we going to get a beak out of this huge piece of yellow paper? Are we going to cut it out of the middle? Nope, we are going to cut it out of the corner. So what can we do? Well, I'll tell you what we can do. We can fold this paper and then fold it again, so that what we end up with are lines like this. And we can cut on those lines. This way, we have lots of paper available for another day and for another craft. So, still too big, right? So what should we do? Well, we're gonna fold it again. So I'm folding it one last time. Got that line down the middle. Gonna go ahead and cut on that line. And now it's much closer to being the right size. So here's what we're gonna do. We're going to draw the bird's beak, and I want you to notice how the end of it sticks out. It's basically an oval, but the end of it sticks out. So we're gonna do the top part of the beak first, and then we'll do the bottom part. So I'm gonna do the top part of the beak, and it looks like that. You see how it kind of takes up most of the paper. The bottom part of the beak is a little bit smaller. So when you draw out the bottom part, just remember it's a little smaller. That way this end sticks out. So I'm going to take my scissors And I'm going to cut along the outside edges. And I am not going to cut on this line. I don't want his beak to be open. If you want his beak to be open, that is up to you. But for this project today, I'm going to keep his beak closed. All right, so you see how it covers up a lot of the eyes and a lot of the belly? It might be just a little bit too much. So best thing to do is the old haircut. So I'm just going to make this a little smaller. Just a little. And voila, I've got a beak now. That's a better size for this one. So I want to make sure I have those nice black lines. So again, if you don't have a Sharpie, just use a black marker. And these lines go along the outside edge. And when you fill them in along the edge, just really take your time. You see how I have this mat here? It's protecting my table. There we go. So it's going to go right there. So let's go ahead and glue that on. Remember, the side with these lines, we want those to face out. So we're going to put those down. And we're going to put our glue on. Very good. Okay. Hold this guy down. And you can really just kind of change the thing's expression by how you turn the can. So, all right. So, it's looking great. Needs those eyebrows. So now it is time to use black. Now, with black paper, you can't draw on it with a black marker or even a Sharpie. You can, if you need to, use a pencil. And these are just a big, heavy kind of V shape. So for example, I'm going to draw this big V shape. And even if you can't see it in the on the video, you will see it when you draw it in person. So just take a moment, cut those out. All right, so I've got my V shape. And suddenly, when you put that V shape on there, you've got an angry bird. Notice if you put him up high, he looks really surprised. Put him down low and even lower. The lower they get closer to the beak, the angrier he looks. So I'm going to put this one right about halfway. And to do that, I'm going to use my glue. The glue on this case, do you see how they stick up? The glue only needs to be in the bottom part of the V. So don't put the glue on the entire V shape, or you're just going to have really sticky eyebrows for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on, like I said, about halfway down. There we go. These guys look like they could be cousins. All right, so the tail. Tail goes on the back. Angry bird tails have these three little things. And again, I just say use your pencil if you need to. There's no exact way to do this. I'll just cut this out so you can see it. And then I'm going to cut these pieces out. Oops. And there's a tail. Now, if you want the tail to come down to a point like this one does, then just trim it until you get that nice point. If you want it to be a different shape, that's fine too. It just goes on right about here. Okay, so put your glue on. Now this time you do want the glue to be on the whole thing. And then just kind of decide where you want that tail to go. It should be right on the other side of the can. Just glue it on. So that is how you make an Angry Bird pencil holder. Like I said, once you have made one, you can make these into anything, any kind of animal, any kind of robot, or anything. They're great gifts. If you're having fun making these, I'm sure you'd have, you know, parents or cousins or grandparents. They're easy to put in the mail as well because they're pretty sturdy. Anyway, thanks for joining us. When we come back in just a minute, I'll tell you what we're going to make next week. All right, guys, you did a great job following directions with the Angry Bird pencil holder. Next week, we're going to be making a craft that's just really fun and cute. This is actually a clothespin butterfly. And these are little, the wrapping, the twisty ties from a bag of bread. And so these are fun. And this is a coffee filter. So we're going to be using household stuff to make cool things. This is really fun and cute. And I'll show you how to make it next week. I'll see you then.